Hello, guys. Once again, welcome to Farming in Africa. And today I'm so excited because I have Felix with me here who randomly showed up at our office. He tested me yesterday, right, Felix? Tested me yesterday and we decided to meet today. And as usual, once you make your way into my office, you have to make your way into the studio. And we can have such a brain in our office and not really tap into what is happening and what is going on. So, Felix, you're welcome to Farming in Africa.
Thank you for having me, Fred. It's always a pleasure meeting you again, and it's always fun to catch up on stuff. Yeah, of course.
Guys, if you're watching us, this is not going to be a me interview. I think, you have somebody who has spent a lot of time and dedication in the agri sector, moving from places to places, networking, imparting, setting, doing services, consultation, focusing on snails. If anybody have told me that snails was gonna be a thing to talk about, I would have laughed at them, but you made it happen. So, this is gonna be a chit chat. So take a seat and relax because we're just gonna talk about everything agriculture and maybe we might pick something of your interest. So where do we start from? Maybe introduce yourself, tell people what you do, and then we can start from there.
Yeah, so my name is Felix. People call me the snail farmer. Trisolace fame. Been in the industry for 7 years now. Wow. This is my 7th year. Wow. And we're growing gradually. We're still getting there. We're learning by experience and making alliances, collaborations. So you can't be alone. It's a big world out there. So you pair up and then see what's happening. So that's Felix. And currently we've launched a project called Agrigate. So agrigate.farm, www.agrigate.farm is like an online free platform that people can learn everything agric. We launched that last 2 months and then it's going great. So people just register, go there and learn for free. So that's us.
Which is amazing.
And currently we have also moved on to our 36-acre land. Things are rosy, man.
We're gonna go into the 36-acre of land, but I'm glad you get the snail farmer. One time I was at the airport and a guy saw me and was like, are you not a good guy?
Yeah. That's true, man. That's true. I met Kafu Day, I think last week when I went to South Africa. He was like, aren't you the snails guy? And I said, yeah, you interviewed me on your platform. So yes, that is me. And
oh my God. Yes, but that's great. That's great. No, I'm very excited to chat with you today, and hopefully through you we can inspire some youth. I want to talk about, you said 2 things, but I want to talk about Trisolace. So why snails and why on earth should anybody do snail farming?
Okay, so I would say that we're looking at solving 2 problems: unemployment, and then also solving a market. Okay. So I think there's a very large market for snails. Snail has been a delicacy since time immemorial, but the unfortunate thing was that we had them from the forest, and they were in abundance because we had a lush green forest out there. But now, due to galamsey, global warming, however you put it, sand winning, illegal pesticide application, which is unregulated, etc. So that has created a very large demand for snails. And right from the onset, I knew as a businessman that would be in very high demand. So I said, okay, there isn't any competition in there as well. I don't like competition, by the way. I always love collaboration. Why don't we all climb and take it instead of someone trying to take the other of it? So I started this with the notion that in the very near future, this will be a household food. At first, I think snails was most likely like very, prestigious, luxurious kind of food.
And once in a while at home,
And we wanted it to be like chicken has evolved. Earlier you would only eat chicken once a year, during Christmas and other.
Or our day.
Now it's become Now it has become everyday thing. I wanted a snail to be a household thing. Snail is much healthier as well, lean meat, and then like I said, we wanted to solve unemployment, meaning that the youth that we wanted to help start farming, we were still targeting urban farms and looking at the youth not having a place of their own. Most 80% of you don't own their own spaces. They are staying with family members, renting, loved ones. So we said, what can you do in the city that will not make noise, will not smell, and still get you that amount of money? And snail is the most profitable farm animal per square meter. You can put poultry in 1 square meter and make profit, but snails can be in one chop box and still make you quite a substantial amount. So that's why we chose snails.
Okay. And how is it going? How has the because I've seen some of your videos and I see you guys setting up all the way even in Sunyai. How has it been? How has Ghana welcomed you in the commercialization of snails?
It has gone bad.
Yeah.
Very bad.
Really? Tell me about it. Tell me what they have been doing.
So you see, we're doing a revenue model where we did not have capital of our own. So we wanted to build for other clients. They raise it and then we buy back from them. But we are both fortunate and unfortunate that the clients that we got are high-end clients with substantial amount of money, right? So instead of them taking the snail as a business, they are taking it as a hobby. Some people, you go there and then sometimes we install cameras in there and clients will walk their friends, sometimes 10, into the structure without biosecurity. And you call and say, Mr. Pell, sorry to put you on, Mr. Pell. Right? Mr. Pell, I saw you guys walking in there without bio. You say, it is my own structure, it is my own money. So that model that we were expecting the snails to come back in folds, lots of them, to sell because we have the ready available market. And the clients were doing quite the opposite. They were showcasing it, they were using as trophy pieces, some taking the contomere out of there and eating it, leaving the snails to their own peril because it was an organic setup. So they loved their contomere and all that. So it's been poor.
That's so interesting.
No one will tell you the truth, but I would do that. Clients we've built about 200 greenhouses, and we have only about 20% of them that have brought their snails. And most of them are Ghanaians outside Ghana. They give it to their loved ones, their aunties, nephews, and they eat the snails and send them a report that all the snails are dead. Meanwhile, they have palm nut soup in the fridge that has snails in there. Right? So here's the whole thing that is a bit funny. You see, a lot of Ghanaians will blame us, the experts, and say, you didn't help me, you didn't do this. I've built a structure for you. I've treated the soil. I've put in snails. I've given you even a digital form of training aside the training I gave you. What more do you want me to do? Right? So we go in there hoping that the clients will take good care of it, and we get only 20% of it back. So that is why we stopped building for other people. We've actually halted the whole project of building for other people. Now we have 36 acres of our own. Those that say that snails do not work, they should come onto our platform and see. Look at the difference. Someone who loves the snail takes it as a business, and someone who thinks it's a trophy piece, I have money, so even if I lose it, nothing to it, So that is it.
It's interesting that people will invest that amount of money into the greenhouse and still not want to take care of it and get return from it. But then there is a gap that's missing. You said your clients have mostly been, people at the high end. But is it that people at the lower end or less income are not interested? And if they are interested, then what is the plan there then? What are you doing around that?
Okay, so that also falls into the aggregate part. So we felt very bad, like neglecting the other part of our revenue people or our clientele. So Currently, we moved from the ones that we were dealing with in boxes because we wanted to scale, and then went all the way to app because we thought that they will bring a lot of the snails and we'll sell and we'll make up for it. And then, so now we reverted to the boxes, and they are doing well. That is, but for you to do a commercial farm, we all know commercial farms, sorry to say, are not really for very, very poor people.
Yeah.
It is
It's capital intensive.
Exactly. It's capital intensive. It's not really our doing because they're set up like automated mist sprayers, all that requires a little bit of capital. So what we wanted to do earlier, we were bridging clients that wanted to do snails but don't have the capital with clients that have capital. And they face the same problem. They will talk to them and say, boss, I just say, yes, say we have to do this. They say, hey, I don't really care, you know. And it's a bit of a mystery to me as well. Why would you dedicate time and money and resources, build something that you said is for snails, and just take contomere out of it? Because they now see
people are interested, aren't they?
Yeah, luxury. You see, most of our clients, I will be frank with you, most of our clients have disposable income. They would love to eat organic, maybe contomere, than compare, telling them they have to wake up and do this and that. There's a disconnect.
Sometimes too, the excitement is there and then it dies off. Real life, hitting, and then you have to now like say, okay, am I gonna spend time taking care of my snails, or I see.
And you call a client, for instance, and then the client will say, you'll be like, have you kindly take care of the snails? And they're like, oh, I forgot. 3 days. And you expect to have the same number of snails there? No. So sometimes you post a video and they're like, oh, these people will say it's sweet and all dandy, and then they will build for you and neglect you. I've given you training. I've given you all the resources. Do you now expect me to bring in the momentum and all that? No, you have to do that yourself.
So let's move away. You've had your own challenges. Let's move away from the snail alone into agriculture in Ghana in general. You've been in the agri space as a youth. You've done a lot. You've represented. You've collaborated and so on. What is the future of agriculture in Ghana?
The future of agriculture is very bright. Very, very bright. If you live in a country like Ghana where land is easily accessible, but just that if you want to own it for a long time, that's where the problems arises, So what I have seen is this. People want to be part of it, but don't want to put in the work. You tell them that agric is good. We all go into it with zeal, with passion, and then the waking up very early in the morning now turns us off. Putting in some small work now turns us off. Standing in the sun with the workers to do something small now turns us off. But what I have seen is that with every other thing now, people are understanding that they have to take agric as a business and not as a hobby. That's how we do it. Everybody, land kitwebi or the backyard. Let's
do something small.
Exactly. Let's use some 10 peppers. You say, wow, it's booming, it's going great. You tell someone now they do 1 acre and they are suffering because they have to put in more effort than the small 10 plants that they did. And that is what people don't want to now move into, having the mindset of agric as a business and not as a hobby. So I've now moved from that, shifted from that model because people are taking it as a hobbyist approach than building it on a commercial scale.
But let's look at it this way. If you're looking at it as a business or like an investment, should we all be dedicating that amount of time and effort into it? How can I invest into snail farming without having to do the job? What is the solution? Can we see that as real estate, construction? I can invest my money into a real estate and probably not even step a foot there. So I guess, just like you said, your clients are well-to-do, and obviously I don't know how much snail I'll have to sell to be able to buy fuel oil in my car, so I won't put my effort in that. So how do we balance that? Because they have the money, but they don't have the time or the energy to even do that.
So that is the next step of agric as a business that as a country we need to invest in, right? When you go to other places, they invest in real estate. Sometimes the people don't even know that Fred is part of this, because you go online, sometimes anonymous, you can even put your money in and then get returns, etc. The same thing with agric. But we want the people to be present. We don't have infrastructure to take their money and be accountable for it and then provide results, because everyone is covering their works. And that is why we now want to open up. The first phase of this revolution is training, which you are doing already. That's why it has inspired me to go into goats, livestock, especially goats, because of this. Because you provide free training, free accessible training. Everyone can now learn. So once that piques people's interest and they say, oh, I'm now ready to go into agric. I now know at least left from right is like learning how to match. You now know that left 10 means this, right 10 means that. Now you develop a passion for it. Now you can do about 10, you can do 10 paces to the left, etc. Those adding that analogy to this. So once we provide free training, it piques people's interest. And what the training comes with is that it gives people an eye to recognize opportunities. So you now see a marshland close to you. You now don't say that the marshland is a gutter anymore. You now know you can do vegetables there by providing clean, accessible water to the plants, and now you can grow something. So the first revolution of helping people like that, and even, sorry to say, poorer people or very low income earning people, is to provide free training. So your chop box that after school you left, your trunks, or that you can do mushrooms in there. You can do snails in the boxes. Now, when it gets to a certain substantial amount, you say, let me transfer everything into a commercial farm. Now you can move on. So the first phase is technology, adding internet-based resources to farming. And that's why I love your part. People can now buy consultancy, book for certain things online without even being physically present. That means you've taken away the risk, you've taken away all that, and they can now, even if they want to be anonymous, can now call you and say, I want to remain anonymous, but I'm going to invest X amount in your business. That is where we are now. So we've built a platform that is providing free training. The next bit is an e-commerce, which you do already, which I always say, you've cracked it way before, so we are learning from the masters. So they say when the student is ready, the shifu will appear. The shifu will appear. So kudos to you. You've been doing that, and like I said, the market is vast, so we are also entering that, where after learning you can get an e-commerce where you can do a starter kit. You can buy your boxes, you can buy your mushroom bags and all that you want to start, vegetables, seeds, etc. So that is the second. And then the third revolution will be building an investment platform, crowdfunding, group funding, IPOs, where we can now put our farms on the Ghana stock exchange and say that, farming in Africa wants to do 60 hectares of this, and now we need you to chip in 1 cedi from all Ghanaians, and now we have one of the largest goat farms in Africa. That is the next step to the whole thing. So the first step is free accessible trainings, which we've already been doing, but have now intensified from your platform, your YouTube platform, and from other platforms that people can now have free. Then the next step is the e-commerce. Now, where do you buy seeds? Where do you buy all that? Then you get that. Then the third step is the investments. Exactly.
All right, guys. I hope you have been listening and have learned something from it. Felix, I will give you the last opportunity. Most of the people watching us are just trying to to embark on that first step, get access to the knowledge, the information that is there, what will be your advice to them after your experience in agriculture? What should they do? Those that are now starting, those that are in but seeking the knowledge, those that are almost about giving up due to all the challenges that we all face every single day.
Yeah. So I would say they should take this analogy. I want to drive a car, and all of a sudden I jump from learning how to drive and go and buy a car. They will give me the keys to the car. I have to take it home. How do I drive it? So if you want to go into agric, look at this as a business, as a driver coming to go a long journey. You first learn how to drive, learn the differences in vehicles, learn even how vehicles operate before you buy a car.
How to maintain it.
How to maintain it before you even buy a car. Yeah. What type of fuel, looking at 10 years from now, what type of fuel will even be good for the car? So that means market research, education. So after you do your education, then you do a market research. If you're doing something that might not withstand the test of time, you know that in 5 years, you will not really have a good future. But once you do a market research, you can do it. So let's not jump steps. Let's take it like you crawl, you stand, you walk, and then all that, the same analogy. So don't jump steps. Learn from the best people. Time is not your enemy. Time is your friend. So if it takes you 6 months to learn, don't worry. Go ahead, learn from Fred, learn from Felix, learn from Farming in Africa. All these free entities are available. And then build your strength. Build your strength. By the time people see that you've built a strength to some extent, they can now invest in you. Because they are looking for people. There's always that analogy that money is looking for people. Somewhat is true. Because now I've learned a lot of things that I didn't know earlier. So I'll tell people, bide your time by learning. Learn from the best people who have done it and is working, and start.
Start, guys. Don't just go and buy the car. Buy your time with the learning. And I think, when you come from Africa, it's very easy for you to think that farming because we grew up, with knowing our food source and agriculture all around us. But I say, there's no one way formula to farming. Every year, every season comes with its own challenge, but it shouldn't discourage us. Thank you so much, Felix, for making the time to come here. Continue with what you're doing, and guys, go check out Aggregate. Free resources there for you. Learn from multiple sources. Farming in Africa is giving you the best that we can, but again, we can't do everything. Go out there, compare notes, compare stories, and I bet you will learn something. Like I always say, visit every farm, whether it's small, big. You will definitely learn something from it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.